Okay, we're here in Boquete, Panama. Boquete translates the Valley of the Flower, like bouquet. So it's really beautiful around here. There's a bunch of coffee farms in this area. And so I just want to make a short video explaining some of the different ways of processing the coffee cherry. If you zoom in right here, we see this is a coffee tree behind us. And this here is what we call the coffee cherry. It's green right now. Here's little ones starting. So after the cherry's picked, then in the wet season, it'll flower, the coffee tree will flower, and it has white flowers. They smell like lavender, but the flowers only last for 2 days. And then the coffee bean will start, or the coffee cherry will grow, and when it becomes red, it's ripe, and then they'll pick the cherry. So inside the cherry, there's several different layers, and there's a couple different methods of processing the cherry to get the bean. There's wet processing and dry processing. So with wet processing, they take like a pressure. Well, first they'll put it in like a vat of water, and all the beans that float are ones that like bugs have gone into, drilled a hole into. And so those will float, and they'll get rid of those, and they'll actually burn them to kill off the larvae or the bugs that are living in them. And then the other beans, the other cherries, they'll take and they'll blast them through a high pressure, like pressure washer, to remove the outside cherry. And then they'll dry it. And this can be a great method if it's done like on the farm, because then they're able to take the pulp from that and use that water and that pulp to irrigate, and then also provides fertilization for the coffee trees. The unfortunate thing about the wet processing method is that a lot of times farms can't afford to have their own wet processing like system in place because it's expensive, and a lot of the farms are small farms where they own, you know, a couple of hectares, maybe up to like 10 hectares. And so they ship it off, and so there's a company that does that, and they dump all that waste into rivers, and then as that rots, it takes all the oxygen out of the water and kills all the fish. And so there's a river here in Boquete, Panama. There's been no fish in it for 20 years. The other method of processing is dry processing, where they'll take the cherry as it is, and they'll just put in raised beds, and they'll just keep stirring it, and they'll let it dry on the bean. Some people like this flavor better because it can have maybe more of a variety, or it kind of locks in more of the flavoring into the bean. And then once it's fully dried down to like 11%, then they'll put it in a press, basically like a roller press, which will crack the outside off, the cherry off, and then the other layer. And then they'll save the cherry, and they'll actually make tea from it, which is becoming more and more popular. So the dry processing, usually you see that in countries like most African coffees are all dry processed because they don't have a lot of water. A lot of times you'll see the wet processing in, you know, countries like Brazil, Colombia, Panama, countries that have a lot of water. But some farmers, we visited a farmer a couple days ago, he's doing all dry processing just because the environmental impact is less and it's a lot better. So that's a little bit between the processing methods, and I just wanted to go over those with you so that when you hear of, you know, people describing coffee and they'll say this bean is dry processed or this one's wet processed, you know what they're talking about. So, okay, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed this video.